It is Friday. Another in a long line of Fridays. Like sands through the hourglass. These are the Fridays of our lives. Come on, you people, say hello in the chat. Psycho Red, Lagnus, Lamquin. Finally, Friday is being brought to you this week by Major Spoilers VIP and Patreon members from around the world. You can show your support and get access to a literal virtual ton of bonus stuff when you become a patron at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Happy Friday, everybody. Malone Hasko just steps into the room right on time. That's the way you do it. The show starts, and you are here, and I am here, and we are here, and we're all in this together. That's all I can say, is that we are all in this together. If you're listening on the Discord, hello. I don't think anybody is this week, which is fine. Oh, hey. Geeky Choreographer, we missed you yesterday during the live stream, during the game stream. Glad to have you here. Hey, says Sin Hunter. Look at all that. So I've got a question for some of you, probably, I guess for those of you who may be re-watching this stream on Twitter. Do you like that I put the chat window in here? I mean, because I believe if you play it back, along the side of the window, the chat window will show chat, the playback, when you rewatch this. But I'm curious because I know we record this show for our YouTube audience, and then it comes out 24 hours later. So if you're a YouTube person, why don't you come and join the show live, Fridays, 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And I put the text in here so you can see all the cool people who are chatting, like Shane from Canada, who is here. Welcome, Shane from Canada. So it looks like Hollywood is getting into the comic books. I'm going to say this. I think when we look back at 2020, I mean, nobody's ever going to, I shouldn't say nobody's ever going to look back at 2020, because I think that 2020 and probably parts of 2019 and really honestly 2018 and 2017 and 2016 as well, maybe the last parts of 2015, I think people are going to go back and they're going to be studying this for a long, long, long time. I know people tend to forget things over time. I took a really weird deep dive into our local newspaper's archive last night. I just wanted to see what they had on the pandemic of 1918. And the newspaper back then was it was 8 pages, and it was totally different than what you might expect a paper today. A lot of little gossip things like Ted and Mary Beth from Ellis came to Hayes to do shopping on Monday. And that was a little line in the paper about what's going on. And over the course of a 4-day period, 4 different newspapers that I selected in October, November, December, and January, I found all sorts of stuff about the influenza pandemic of 1918. And the amazing thing about it was that so much of it was just a repeat of what we're seeing today. There were things like, hey, if you're going to be around people that are sick, wear a mask. Oh, hey, if you're going to be around people that are sick, make sure you wash your hands. Oh, schools are closed because of this. Because of the flu, football hasn't been able to take place. And it's just eerie just reading through this over 100 years ago, and saying, this is eerily familiar. You know, there's a little op-ed piece from a farmer in Osborne that says how Woodrow Wilson, the president, is going to take us all to heck. And he's the devil incarnate. And it's just like, wow, that's really weird. It almost sounds like the things we're here today. And then there was a little blurb from an event that happened in San Francisco where somebody put a pipe bomb, essentially, a makeshift explosive, at a doctor's office. And it's because the doctor was a proponent and telling the city of San Francisco that we need to start wearing masks again. This is during the second or third wave of the pandemic. And this guy was so upset about having to be forced to wear a mask that he decided he wanted to blow things up. You can go read this. I pulled excerpts out of my research last night. This is about a 2 or 3 hour dive into the newspaper archives. You can find that on the Twitter at Major Spoilers. And it's just very fascinating to me. Now, maybe not to you, but I certainly found it fascinating. I also found this very interesting, tragic story about the Beardswells. The Beardwells? Yeah, the Beardwell family. It's tragic. It's really tragic over the course of 1917 to 1921. But I think people are going to go and look back at the year 2020, and they're going to say this is the year that comics finally got savvy. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know for years that, studios have been courting the comic book industry, trying to mine IP so that they could find movies to produce, TV shows to produce. And certainly over the last, 14 years, 15 years that Major Spoilers has been around, there have been a plethora of comic book movies out there. But there are even more now that people are realizing that it's more than just capes and tights. And here's the thing that bothers Hollywood the most. The thing that bothers Hollywood the most is they have to pay somebody else to license that IP. They don't own that property. This is why Disney bought Marvel, so that they own it. This is why Disney bought Lucasfilm, so that they own it. So they don't have to license it, right? This is why 20th Century Fox, now owned by Disney, owned a large portion of, or a chunk of, Boom Studios. This is why Netflix bought Miller World, or Millar World, however you want to say it. And now co-publish with Image Comics all of Mark Millar's works, but they have first rights to anything that he does. And now we hear that Universal Studios creates its own comic book imprint called UCP, not to be confused with UPN, the UPN, for those of you that are old enough to remember the UPN. They have created their own comic book imprint, Legendary Comics from Legendary Studios. They created their own comic book imprint, 5 years ago, something like that. And they are kicking off their UCP graphic line with Protector Valley, Protector Valley Road from Alex Child and Grant Morrison, who will co-write the first 5 issues. That's a pretty big deal. And the plan is, my guess is, the only reason why UCP wants their own comic book imprint is so they can go and attract high-profile comic book creators like Grant Morrison to create something for them so that they can make a TV show or a movie or something out of it. And the comic book industry has realized, hey, yes, we could always say, oh, comic books don't need to be adapted. This is its own medium. This is our own little thing. Let's keep this quiet. And I think publishers have realized, especially with the purchase of Marvel by Disney, that if we're going to survive in this big, scary world of capitalism and consumerism, if we're going to compete against the video games and the Netflixes and the streaming medias, we're going to have to do something. And so getting into this and working with the studios is the way that they're going to do this. Now, the UCP, the Universal Comic Book Imprint, is actually going to be published through Boom Studios, which is interesting again because a portion of Boom Studios is owned by owned by Disney now, which I think is very, very interesting. Looking at not just IPs and looking at the creators with Grant Morrison, Keanu Reeves announces that he is going to be doing his own comic books. I believe it's Berserker, BRZRKR. We'll have this story up later today. This first reported in USA Today. It's going to be illustrated by Alessandro Vitti. A hyper-violent berserker centers on the warrior who looks a lot like a certain beloved actor and has walked a blood-soaked path across the world for centuries. In present day, the Berserker does dangerous jobs for the U.S. government in exchange for truth about his existence. Now, we've already had the John Wick comic, and maybe Keanu Reeves has figured out that, man, if people are going to draw my likeness, why don't I just do a comic book about me being, I don't know, Wolverine, the Highlander, the Berserker, and let's make some more money off of that. So that's coming as well. And again, I think the comic book industry is just getting really savvy on how to make this transition from comic books into other medium. Now, of course, that can be a downside to that, too. We saw this years ago with Cowboys versus Aliens. If you don't know the story about this, I'll try to remember it correctly. I may not be 100% correct. But way back in the early days, like 2007, something like that, people realized that, oh, the movie studios are just trying to find these really hot things that they can turn around and turn into a movie as quickly as possible. And this one group of people figured out that if they can have the highest rated comic book in the month, that the studios would pay them millions of dollars to buy the rights so that it could be turned into a movie. And so they created this little comic called Cowboys versus Aliens. I don't even know if it made it past issue 1. But they gave such a deal to the comic book shops that comic book shops were essentially giving it away. But because they gave away so many of these things, it was like in the top 10 of comics for that month. And sure enough, I believe it was Universal. Excuse me, mute buttons work, please. The movie studio saw that, bought it, and gave it to Jon Favreau, who put James Bond and Indiana Jones in it, and we got that wonderful movie. So, movie studios are looking for this. The comic book companies are looking to figure out how to do this. And then we ended up with something that happened this week on the Dueling Review podcast, where we took a look at Rob Liefeld's Snake Eyes Dead Game #1. Couldn't call it Deadpool. They're going to call it the Dead Game. And I had mentioned casually in this that that this comic Hits is essentially what a 4-quadrant film is. And that it would do that this comic was going to sell extremely well for IDW Publishing. And sure enough, today we get an announcement from IDW that the comic book is already going back to second printing because it sold out so fast this week. And so I thought it really quick, I should probably mention what a 4-quadrant film is. We've talked about tentpole films in the past. We've talked about blockbusters in the past on this show. But I thought I'd just kind of talk about what is a 4-quadrant movie. Now, a 4-quadrant movie is one that appeals to 4 major demographic groups. Males under 25, females under 25, males over 25, and females over 25. So if you can hit those 4 groups, you've got the perfect film. And of course, these tend to be family-friendly films. I don't want to say, the G-rated stuff like Frozen. But the PG stuff, the G-rated stuff, tends to fall into the 4-quadrant. Something the entire family can go and see. Yes, the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Death Game, or Dead Game #1. And I said that this comic book hits 4 quadrants for comics. Right? It's got Rob Liefeld, who, love him or hate him, is followed by both males over 25 and males under 25. Right? You've got a beloved property like G.I. Joe. Again, beloved by males over and under the age of 25. It's a well-known property, so, I mean, if we're just looking at what are 4 quadrants that we could hit, instead of just saying the male population versus the female population, we could say beloved property, well-known creator, established comic book company, lots of press on this. And this comic hit all of those. And I had said during the Dueling Review podcast that IDW, when this idea was pitched, went and probably looked at what their 4 quadrants were, who their target market was, their ideal mass market was, and said, yes, this hits every quadrant that we need to make this comic book a success. Now, whether it did or not is beside the point. You can go and listen to the Dueling Review podcast that Matthew and I did this week to find out what our thoughts are on it. But from a marketing standpoint, that's what, when I talk about a 4-quadrant movie, that's what studios are looking for marketability. Doesn't matter if the film is good or not, but if it hits these 4 quadrants, man, we should be able to bring in the bucks. And I think IDW Publishing, as it becomes savvy with Chris Ryall, I think it looked at this and said, they could have looked at this and said, oh, it's Rob Liefeld. Who cares, right? They could have rolled their eyes and said, who cares? But they know that he attracts an audience. They know that there are people who are very fond of the comics from the 90s. It hits that quadrant. They know that it is going to be a name that attracts people of today, the younger audience. It knows that it's got the G.I. Joe fans. It knows that it has the Snake Eyes fans. Somebody in the chat's mentioning the Silent Snake Eyes by Hama in the 80s. And you're right. That's what I think when people are going to read this. That's what they think they're going to get into. And so from a business perspective, this was the perfect book for IDW Publishing to launch right now. Yes, they could have come up with this, a couple of years ago when that last G.I. Joe movie came out, but they didn't. You came out at the right time when there's there's a lot more comics coming out, but we still have some staggered delays and some smaller comics, totals coming out because of the pandemic. But this is IDW being very, very savvy. Boom Studios is being very, very savvy when it teams up with Universal Studios to launch this UCP imprint. It's being very, very savvy when it does this Berserker comic with Keanu Reeves. Now, if you think about it, I'm pretty sure Boom Studios was the one that did the John Wick comic a while ago. So there's already that connection. They were already laying the groundwork. And certainly with the new Bill and Ted movie coming out, the Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, the new Matrix coming out, Keanu just being a beloved person around the world, if you look on Twitter, this is a very savvy move by Boom Studios. It's not just like, oh, hey, everybody, you remember the Metal Men? Let's do another Metal Men story. Hey, everybody, you remember Adam Strange? Let's do an Adam Strange story. Oh, everybody, you remember, Hawkman? Let's do a Hawkman book. You guys remember the Kree Skrull War? Let's do that again. You're seeing publishers who are small, who don't have a long history with certain IPs, Batman, Superman, Captain America, whatever, really trying to figure out how can they best themselves. And certainly with and I don't want to say the fall of Dark Horse, but with the problems that Dark Horse has had losing its IPs over the last couple of years, we talked about this on the last Finally Friday, Dark Horse is not in the number 3 position that it was. And you're looking at IDW and Boom and Image, even though Image really doesn't have to try hard. You're looking at those publishers doing everything they can to get more eyes onto their books. And I think in the next year, it's going to pay off for them big time. Big, big time. Just look at what's happening on Netflix. Came out last week, The Old Guard. You guys watch this yet? It's based on a comic book series called The Old Guard from Greg Rucka. He's the writer. The movie, again, if you're looking for 4-quadrant films, it is an action. You don't know what this is about. It is follows a series of immortal mercenaries who unintentionally or intentionally are shaping the world by getting involved in history. And at the time that this movie takes place, they have uncovered a new immortal. And then there is a pharmaceutical company that wants to capture the Old Guard and figure out how their powers work so that they can make everybody immortal. Have you guys watched this? I watched this last week, or earlier this week, I guess. I was on Tuesday. So you've got this kind of immortal kind of thing going on. You got Charlize Theron in it. You've got so you're going to get a group of people there. It's a kick-ass action movie. It's a long movie. It's on Netflix, so when you can't go to the movie theaters, you can certainly turn to Netflix. This has stuff that I'm interested in, stuff I know my younger kids are interested in. It's got two great female leads in it that I know my wife would be interested in, and probably a younger. I shouldn't say that my wife is old. That's get me in trouble. People that are younger than my wife will be interested in this. Definitely a 4-quadrant film. This has come out. I rather enjoyed it. I did think it was a little long. There's some places that I probably would have trimmed myself, but this is a very solid movie, and I would highly recommend you go and check this out. But unless you knew that this was based on a comic book by Greg Rucka, you would look at this and go, wow, this is a really cool action movie. Now, this is the second action movie that Netflix has put out in recent months. What was the one about the guy who went to go rescue the kidnapped kid? And it's got Thor in it, the Hemsworth from the Avengers and the Thor movies. That one was really good as well. So this is just another example of, I'm trying to remember, I want to say this was, I can't remember what the studio was, or what the publisher was that originally had this. I want to say, is it Image Comics? But I rather enjoyed it, and I would recommend that you go and check it out. But this is just another example of everybody trying to get a piece of that pie, and the studio's kind of jockeying, because here's the thing that happened, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of the business of major spoilers. And if you are a gold VIP member at patreon.com/major spoilers, I'll go more into depth on this next Saturday during our gold member VIP chat, where I talk about the business of major spoilers and how things have impacted us. But two of our writers, I think Jonathan and Christopher, have both reviewed the series The Old Guard. And what do you think has happened over the last 2 weeks in the lead up to this release on Netflix? People have been searching far and wide for anything they can about The Old Guard. And sure enough, for the last 30 days, the two top stories at Major Spoilers have been The Old Guard reviews. And I'll talk more about numbers and how that has impacted Major Spoilers in the last 30 days. Next Saturday, 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time on the VIP live stream. Find out more at patreon.com/major spoilers. So there's an impact with that. What else? I think that's it. I kind of wanted to talk about the 4-quadrant film. I wanted to talk about, how publishers are going to become more savvy, or becoming more savvy, and we're going to look back and say that this was the year that they really figured it out. And if you've heard me even talk back in 2019, 2017 about Boom Studios really looking at the OGN market, and then we look at DC doing the DC Kids stuff. We look at them, trying to branch out and figure out different ways to get comics into people's hands. We see Marvel teaming with Scholastic. And I think that you're going to see a big push for moving away from the single issues, moving back to the trades, to the OGNs. We're going to see a bigger push to get these comics into people's hands that are not 35 and older. We're going to be targeting men and women under the age of 35 and 25 and 15 to get them to read comics. Because then it's going to be much easier to make those video games, to make those TV series, to make those movies, and make everybody a whole lot more money. Let's go back into the chat and see what you guys have had to say. What comic would you most like to see made into a movie show, and why? Is it Atomic Robo? I don't know if it is Atomic Robo. I mean, I've said for years that I would love to see Atomic Robo be turned into a TV show. There was at one point a Kickstarter campaign or some project that they were working on. A bunch of college kids were doing a short film, an animated film of Atomic Robo. I think that would work really, really well. Honestly, I don't think I want to see a live action Atomic Robo. I think I would like to see a very stylized Atomic Robo animated series, probably done up in the same way as you might look at Legend of Korra, The Last Airbender. I think if you did it in that way, I think it would look really good. Or even just taking the Scott Wegner art and just turning that into animation. I would love to see that as an animated television show. I really would. And it would be, that's an interesting one, because the weird thing about Atomic Robo, and I've talked about this before, is that it does rely heavily on the actual history of the world and science and everything to kind of shape the story. Even though there's not a moment where Atomic Robo stops and says, kids, back in the day, Nikola Tesla did this, and this. But it's that history that helps shape those stories, especially the stuff that happens in the past, not so much the giant kaiju stories. But that is one that kind of has everything. It has science, it has adventures, it has monsters, it has time travel. It's got everything that you might want in it. I think that would make a great, excellent animated series. Just the Red says her screen is frozen. I don't know. I don't know what to respond to that. Lamgwin says, I'm skeptical of a Keanu comic, but basically everything he's done that he had some creative control over has been fantastic. So, News at 11, corporates don't want to pay anything, including taxes or living wages, to their employees. Well, that's true. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to see a really good comic book, Malone Haskell says The Silent G.I. Joe by Larry Hama is one of the best issues of the 80s comics, and I think you're right. So go track that down. It's pretty easy. I believe it's up on Comixology. We reviewed it years ago on the Major Spoilers podcast. I don't remember what the actual title is, but it's the Snake Eyes issue. That's all you have to go and look for. Oh, Usagi Yojimbo finally gets an animated series. Oh, I know you are so happy and you're so excited about that. And I know that, it means the world to you, Malone, that finally we're getting a Usagi Yojimbo story, and that it's coming to Netflix, and everybody thinks that this is the greatest thing since sliced toast, until you read what the series is actually going to be about, and maybe you won't be as excited. This is from Majorspoilers.com. The series takes place in the far future. Oh, not in the past of Japan. The series takes place in the far future, set in a world that mixes modern high-tech images with classic Japanese references. It follows the teenage rabbit samurai Yuchi, descendant of the great warrior Miyamoto Usagi, on his epic quest to become a true samurai. But he isn't alone. He leads a ragtag team of misfit heroes, including a roguish bounty hunter, a cunning ninja, an acrobatic pickpocket, and a faithful pet lizard, as he battles depth-charging moles, metal-tipped wing bats, and monsters from another dimension, all in the pursuit to become the best Samurai Usagi. So yes, so excited. I know, Malone, that you are so excited that there is going to be a Usagi Yojimbo animated series coming to us all the way from Stan Sakai and Netflix. I don't know what year this is supposed to come out. My guess is in the next 2 years that we're going to see more about this. Excited? Excited? Yeah? You understand why I wasn't playing this up? Because I knew it was going to break your heart? I knew you were going to just sit there and go, oh no. No. What is that? That doesn't sound like Ancient Samurai Rabbit Warrior. Oh. So yes, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have capitalism. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us this week. Hopefully you had some joy in this. Hopefully you had some fun with this. Hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully my ramblings weren't just ramblings. Hopefully they were good ramblings. Don't forget to head over to patreon.com/majorspoilers for more information. Don't forget to follow up there. Click on the follow button. Also, if you're a Prime member, you can subscribe to this channel and use your Prime membership and take $5 right out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and put it right into our pocket. We certainly appreciate that. Great show, as always, says Shane Canada. Thank you, everybody. And if you want to see more, we're always doing more on this Twitch channel. Monday through Thursday, 12:30 p.m. till 1:30 p.m. Central Time. I do the lunchtime game time and playing different games. This week we had a lot of fun with Legendary DXP with Geeky Choreographer and the Great Nate O. We sit down and play Legendary DXP. We kicked the crap out of Sentinels of the Multiverse again yesterday, and we also showed previews of played a couple of games of Street Masters, the latest beta version of that game that's coming to iOS, I'm guessing in the next year, probably by the end of the year. Or probably they may hold on to it until Gen Con next year. I don't know. I don't think they're going to have it completely ready by August, so I don't think it's going to release in the next 2 months. But we're playing a whole bunch of games. 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Central Time right here at twitch.tv/majorspoilers. And then on Saturdays, I'm going to take a deep dive into more video games. We've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, although there's a new game that just came out today. I edited the new Critical Hit episode a little early so I can maybe sit down and play a little bit of it tonight. Might be playing that on the game stream in the future. I don't know if there will be a game stream tomorrow. Usually we play these longer games Saturday at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But my son has a thing to do tomorrow, and we're all going to be involved with that from like 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. So we're going to be outside in the sun, 104-degree temps, all wearing masks, just like you should be wearing masks if you go out. It's going to be a joy. A joy. So I don't know if I will be doing a game stream on Saturday this week, but normally we do that. There's a whole bunch more. So what are you waiting for? Follow this channel, and we will see everyone again very soon. Until then, do good, be good, wear your mask, wash your hands. Let's see, wear a condom, don't drink and drive, and be good to one another. Take care, everyone.